Hi guys, I wanted to give you guys a slightly wider view of what I discussed in the last video regarding your feet and your hands. So this should be a supplement to the last video and you should still watch it, but this will give you a little bit more in person. So before you begin practicing your speech with your feet and your hand coordination, I would suggest that you first get your outline done. Your outline needs to have those really solid 3 or more body points. For a lot of our speeches, especially our artifact speech, you don't have a lot of time. 3 to 4 minutes, you probably do not have enough time to get 5 or 6 main body points done. So let's just assume 3 for these purposes. So the technique that I showed you in the last video involved your hand and your foot moving in the same direction at the same time. I'm going to use my preferred placement, which I talked about in the last video, which is first point here, second, third, and conclusion. If you are using a different format, make sure it makes sense, but you can still utilize these same techniques. So you give your introduction here. We'll go through parts of an introduction in another video, but we're going to assume you already have them. The last part of that introduction is your transition into your first point. So for me, I know that I'm going here for my first point. So this hand, again, we're not Vanna Whiting it. This hand is going to lead us and the audience in the same direction. Now I want my foot to be this foot, the same foot that's going in that direction. And again, we're not making it hugely dramatic. We are just stepping this way, okay? And then when I go to my next point, my second body point will be on this side of my audience. So I'm going to, this hand, this foot, there's like a string, they're attached, right? We're gonna go in this direction. And again, not Vanna Whiting it, just leading your audience in that direction. So my third point, if you noticed, left hand, left foot went together, right hand, right foot went together. One of the techniques that I used when I was doing competitive speech and debate is to literally walk each place with your transition sentence. So transition sentence is usually something you want written down, kind of in your outline usually, or at least in the full speech. I had to memorize 10-minute full speeches that were written word for word for competitive events. But for these purposes, a lot of you are doing them extemporaneously. I would write down on your note card the transition sentence so that you have it down pat and you're not awkward in that transition. So the technique that I would use when I'm using these sentences is I would say my transition sentence while engaging in this pattern with my feet. It'd be 1, 2, 3, and I would pivot towards my audience. Okay, now we're not talking a huge pivot, and I don't ever want to be facing this way. You want to keep your body open to your audience. So even when you're walking like this, coming this way, your body is still, 75% to 100% facing your audience. When I move to this side of the room, it's a little awkward if I'm only facing this way. Most of my audience is going to be in this general radius. So I want to make sure that I pivot my body just a little bit, not too much. I don't ever want to see profiles. People don't want to see this. And they don't really want to see this because if you're at this viewpoint over here, you're getting a complete side view. You're getting that profile. I may be facing the people directly in front of me, but the people sitting over there are going to get a profile view. So just rotate your body a little bit to angle towards the center, okay? So for over here, remember 1, 2, 3, pivot, turn. That third step you take is going to be your grounding step. So let's see how this technique works out. It goes 1, 2, 3. So I'm facing forward and then pivot, turn. Okay, not too bad. You need to practice this step over and over again and it'll eventually become second nature. So we go 1, 2, 3, facing forward, slight pivot, and then I'm pivoting, this foot's the one that's moving, and I face towards my center, okay? 1, 2, 3, pivot, turn. I'm again facing the center of my audience, okay? This is a technique that I hope you guys practice over and over again because number 1, muscle memory matters. The more you actually physically do things with your body, things like practice your hand gestures, practice what your feet should do, the less likely your body's going to engage in these like fidgety, like hip shifting things. It's gonna ground your feet and it's gonna give you purpose. The second thing it's gonna do is it's gonna make you feel calmer. You knowing what your body's supposed to be doing, you not having to feel awkward about oh my gosh, do I look okay up here, is going to put you at peace so that you can share whatever message you're trying to get out in your video much better to your audience, okay? So one more time in a review. We're gonna start here for point 1 in our middle. We're facing the center of our audience because we're in the middle of our audience, no big deal. No one from my either side is getting a complete profile view, they're getting a 3/4 view, okay? And so I move into my first point with my transition sentence and I go 1, 2, 3, pivot, turn. I am now facing the center of my audience again, so no one is getting that complete side view from me. I finish this point, I go to my second point. So same hand, same foot. 1, 2, 3, pivot, turn. Again, I am one fluid motion facing the center of my audience. I am not facing straight forward. I am pivoted. And then I go back to my third point. So that was 1, 2, 3 would be back over there. 1, 2, 3, pivot, turn. And now I go into my conclusion. 1, 2, 3, and you're not really pivoting because you're already in the center. No big deal. If you have any questions about this technique, feel free to send me a message on Remind text messaging, and good luck and best wishes.